Hello, Geopath member. This is Dylan Mabin, head of product here. Very excited to show you today a preview of the updated Geopath Insights API developer portal, where you'll have access to programmatic access to Geopath audience measurement. Lots of fun stuff here. When you first go to the site, which is api-docs.geopath.org, you'll be greeted with the ability to sign in, a brief little getting started welcome right here off the bat. What I'm going to walk through today in this preview is the user guide and some of the API products. I'm joined today by Matthew Martimo, who's been one of the key individuals in assisting Geopath get all of this fun stuff off the ground. And he'll be showing you how to work with some of these products. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is join the portal itself. And so to do so, you'll need to register. If you have this video, your account domain is probably already approved, but just in case it's not, you'll register, receive an email with instructions on logging in. And once you've done so, you can create your first application. Now, when you create an application, it'll ask you to name that application. You're going to request the Geopath Insights API version 2, create an app. That will then be pending, and one of the Geopath API support team individuals will approve that application, and you'll be notified and you'll be ready to run. Now, the Geopath Insights API is a little bit different than the legacy TAB Geopath inventory and audience measurement product in many, many wonderful ways. There's much more detail available to you. It's all built on very powerful technology, and it's now lightning fast, especially these search functionalities. So in here, you'll see information on the new audited inventory architecture, being able to report down to an individual spot on a particular frame, on a particular construction. Lots of information here on the different elements. We also have quite a bit of information about the different audiences that are now available. We're going beyond generic demographics. We now have behavioral, consumer profile segmentation, lots of fun stuff in there. And all of this is available through these powerful APIs. So we're going to jump over here into the API product section. And you'll see first off the API 1.0. Please ignore API 1.0 for now. It was really more of a proof of concept prototype, and that's going to be recreated in 2.0. Now, so what you're going to want to start off is in the API 2.0 section. And these products are where you're going to want to focus your time. The inventory search API, even though it says inventory search, it's really where all of the audience measures are available. And I'll let Matthew talk about that in just a second. You also have reference APIs to get at the catalog of audience segments, audience target segments that are available, as well as the market geographies that we report against. Now, in the future, we're going to have some fun things like audience planning. This is sort of the type of technology that's powering O-Plan today, similar functionality, as well as some asset management, some inventory management APIs that are going to be coming down in the future. But for now, what you're going to see in the API portal as you log in is really here in this inventory search API. So I'm going to pass it over to Matthew.
Thanks, Dylan. I'll see if I can share my screen. So once we're inside of the inventory search API, for each of, and you'll see down the side, different kind of variations on that and the different APIs that Dylan had gone through. Everything is kind of compartmentalized and trying to be as helpful as possible. We see the resource URL that would be hit from outside systems. We can also be testing this directly inside the application. In this case, it's a post request. There is a kind of template body that's been laid out for you. The schema tab will go through every individual parameter, I guess, inside of this and walk you through if you want to search by orientation, if you want to search by the plants or operator names, etc. That's sitting there. So if we do just kind of a quick example, I'm going to pull off most of this. Maybe we'll just look at where digital is true. And let's sort by our impressions measures. And so by default, this is a descending sort across all of the digital inventory. And so when I send this request, it's working. And it's returned then with the top 100 pieces of inventory. In this case, invalid IDs, if we had submitted, here's a list of Geopath IDs or the plant operator IDs, it would return back if any of those were not found. But just looking at kind of the hierarchy of the default display, now instead of panels, you will see frames. So literally a frame, a piece of inventory, and you have the Geopath ID as well as the plants ID for that. Representations, you'll see a number of different ways that these are classified. We can see that in this case, Outfront, it owns this. Outfront is managing it. Outfront's listed as scheduling and transacting on it. The media types, these are being reorganized as well, and so will be things to learn available in the documentation, but this is a bulletin description there. It's currently active. The location, this provides a little GeoJSON snippet of where that particular unit is located. And now the difference is for a digital piece of inventory in the past, we would have a number of panels. Now we have one frame that contains a number of spots. And so as we look inside of this, basically foundationally everything that Geopath's doing is returning back these measures, audience measures, number of impressions, etc. And so I won't go into a lot of detail. Some of this should look mostly familiar, but basically IMP is impressions. And so this has by default, this is a weekly impressions measure, so 61,000 weekly impressions. I haven't specified a market or an audience in this case. And so it definitely, here our target geography and market is listed as 0. That's going to be a national view. And so my in-market and my out-of-market impressions, or my total impressions and my in-market impressions are the same. And so if I go back up real quick, just to show some of the other endpoints, search market, pretty straightforward right now. DMAs are supported when looking at these impressions measures. And so if I send that request for Atlanta, or ATL was the text search there, there's one ATL DMA, 1543. So I'm going to go back to my search inventory. I will pull back up this target geography and we'll specify that. Similarly on the segments, this is a catalog search across all the different audience segments that are now supported by Geopath. If I come down here, send this request, we can come in and see that Claritas offers a dog profile, sports and leisure, lifestyle characteristics, owning a dog. Fantastic. We'll go back to the inventory search and I'll put that in here as well. Some of the things to point out, these audience segments all done by provider as well as category, subcategory, and then a list of the individual measures. And so you can search by any particular level and get lists of the inventory there. So now we got just Atlanta. We will keep our digital parameter here as true, and still sort of searching across those impressions. Any of the impressions that we're looking at can be used inside of this inventory sort. And so when we look at a particular piece of inventory, when you get down into that section of measures that we were glancing at, any one of those things. So if you want to look at what are my highest indexing ones for a particular audience, or has the highest in-market impressions or the target impressions in market, all of those different parameters are provided and available. Okay, so we did return, and fantastic. So now we have an Atlanta Clear Channel board is the top one. We get the number of spots. Now we see the variation of the total number of impressions, 189,000, 180,000 of those are directly from in the market. 81,000 of those are for the dog owners living in dog owners, total 77,000 dog owners living in Atlanta. So every possible kind of parameter, whatever, as we look across the different combinations of measures, the percent, the populations, and even the frequency, reach, total reach for an effective frequency of 3 supplied here by default. And so this endpoint is absolutely just returning this pulled back 100, the top 100 panels. Again, each of those will have a number of spots inside of those. So Dylan also mentioned the summary endpoint. This is new for this new release. And so this is now search inventory summary. And so instead of inventory search, inventory slash summary slash search, this takes the exact same body with the exception of the summary level that is here. And so I'm going to actually pull that out. Pull the sort out doesn't mean much in this case. And so, and I'm going to pull this. So in this case, we have Atlanta, we have dog owners, we have digital inventory. Pull summary level out by initially here just to show you what comes back. But this is going to summarize all of the digital inventory and provide us back this kind of one measure, one set of measures inside of Atlanta. And so we can see there were 44,000 spots that were summarized, and we have kind of the effective reach, frequency, total number of impressions. Now we're dealing with tons of impressions. The options now with the summary level, I'm going to pull out the market geography, and I'm going to tell it to summarize dog lovers on digital inventory by DMA. And again, all of this is provided in the schema on what values are possible right now. But I'll go ahead and send this request. And so this has come back. Okay, so I don't know what was happening earlier. We've now looked across the entire US. Each one of these now you're going to get a set of measures back, and you're going to get them by specific DMA. And so 866 spots inside of Las Vegas and the total impressions and whatnot. And so this summary, certainly useful for getting back a list of all the DMAs with an amount of inventory inside of that, getting back if you have a set of panels inside of that default list here, we can just give it I want my frame IDs, and here is a list of the frames. And I can give it 10, 20, 30 different frames or spots and have that summarized, do a package analytics, give me my combined reach and frequency and stuff across this. So hopefully fairly flexible and useful as kind of this next step or iteration of the API. So with that, minor pain, but I'll turn it back to you, Dylan.
Wonderful. Well, Matthew, thank you for running through that. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of very exciting things that can be done, piecing together lots of fun functionality to create a lot of neat tools powered directly with these central APIs. Now, Geopath is going to be meeting with all of the groups that are currently licensing the API products from Geopath to help assist with their implementation plans. We recognize that there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we are here to help, and so you can be in touch. Also, as you are exploring the API portal, don't hesitate to reach out to API support@geopath.org. Again, this is Dylan Mabin, Head of Product here at Geopath. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Thanks.